Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Bryce of BI's Media, and today I'm once again diving into the world of Panasonic 4K players with the UB154. This is an entry-level model into the world of 4K, and in this video I'll show you what comes inside the box, plus my thoughts on it in terms of pros and cons. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy home theater content, liking this video if it proves to be helpful for you, and click that notification bell to stay tuned for all the upcoming content. And with the intro all wrapped up, let's find out what comes inside the box. So looking at the outside of the box, it is just a plain cardboard box with some of the different badges and logos of the different formats that are supported with this player. We do have a paper manual up top, which is very nice. And then taking the player itself out, all it has is just a little plastic around it. But it does look pretty sleek and metallic looking, so nothing to complain about there. And then underneath this last flap, we do have the power cable itself, so you can plug it into the wall. And then lastly, we do have the OEM Remote, and that brings this unboxing to a close, guys. We've now seen what comes inside the box, but ultimately comes down to how well it performs. We'll break this player down into pros and cons, and we'll start off on a positive note with the pros, with the first being simplicity. The great thing about this player is you don't have to know much about the latest technology or everything there is to know about 4K Blu-rays to enjoy it. It's extremely easy to use, and it's really a plug-and-play type of player right outside the box. I think this is a great entry point into 4K UHDs, and it still feels similar to the UB420, UB820, and UB9000 minus additional settings in HDR formats that they support. It's missing Dolby Vision, but it still supports HDR10, 10+, and Dolby Atmos on the sound side. The simplistic design also allows it to disappear into your entertainment center. It doesn't weigh much at all, and its only luminance is its power indicator, so you don't have to worry too much about glow in the dark in the midst of a movie. Popping in a disc and booting up is not an issue either, as the second pro is load times. Whether you're watching a Blu-ray, 4K, or even a DVD, you'll be happy to know that loading times are decently quick and don't keep you waiting for too long. It's one of the first things I always for in a budget 4K player, and I was pleased with its quickness. I will say its bigger brothers do seem to load much quicker, especially with 4Ks, but not so much so that I was wondering when it was going to boot up. Load times may vary slightly with each disc as well, as movies contain more features and differentiating links compared to the ones I've shown on screen. And finally, my third and final pro has to point to its price point. Ultra HD players are not nearly as cheap as a standard Blu-ray player, but the UB54 can be found for $200 MSRP, or you can find it often on sale for cheaper as well. This is the cheapest 4K player I've found at full price so far, so this truly gives physical media beginners an easier entry into the world of 4K UHDs on your wallet. And after all this positivity about the Panasonic UB154, it's time we address the few cons this player also has to see if it's truly worth your purchase. The vast majority of my experience with this player has been solid, but there are a few things that rub me the wrong way while testing. The first being the cheap build. I'm not going to be too harsh on the build quality of the UB154 because it is a budget player, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who would not be pleased with it because of how cheap it feels. The main chassis is a light metal, I'm guessing aluminum, while the front piece is a hard plastic. It doesn't weigh much, a measly 2.7 pounds, so it almost feels like a toy in your hands. If you have children that are prone to knocking the equipment or you just don't have the safest place to store this, then this may be something you should heavily consider before purchasing. The biggest con I found with this player will definitely be something you want to keep an eye on, with that being performance quirks. I noticed upon booting up a disc that it made a rather loud whirring noise while reading the disc, and the disc tray itself sounds terrible compared to the top Panasonic players. I could literally hear the gears turning to open and close the tray, which was almost cringe-worthy to my ears. And to top it off performance-wise, I noticed while playing back a Blu-ray and a 4K UHD that almost every time I paused the movie and then pressed play that it would freeze for a second or two and sometimes stutter before playing again regularly. Of course, when I pressed record on my phone to capture doing it, it worked just fine, so you'll have to take my word for it. And then lastly, to wrap up this review and my cons list, we have to discuss the OEM Remote. All of Panasonic's remotes, minus the UB9000, are well known to have terrible remotes, and the UB154's is no exception. It is laid out a little differently than the others, mainly because it doesn't support streaming in any capacity, but I felt the buttons were way too small and the overall remote felt way too small as well. I don't have the biggest hands by any means, but the buttons and overall size made it feel like it was made for a child, so you may be better off plugging this into your TV's HDMI ARC and using your TV's remote for a more comfortable experience. With the pros and cons wrapped up, it leaves one big question to finish this review. Do I recommend this player? My answer? It depends on your needs and wants. If you're brand new to the world of 4K UHDs, then I think this is a great beginner player without breaking the bank, but if you've been in the game for a little while, then you'll be better off elsewhere. The performance quirks were a major turnoff for me, and I'd rather spend an extra $100 or $200 for the UB420 or UB820. Just by looking into this player myself, I'm sure most people will recognize this as aimed at 4K beginners or someone who's not hardcore into physical media collecting, so I'm sure you're well aware of what you're looking for based on your experience within the physical media realm. If you'd like to check this player out for yourself, I will have my Amazon affiliate link in the description in the pinned comment. If you choose to use my link, I will get a small commission from that purchase that helps fund the channel and no extra cost to you, so I'd greatly appreciate it, guys. Be sure to smack that like button if you found this to be helpful. Don't forget to subscribe for more home theater and physical media content, and leave me a comment below on your thoughts on this player. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see y'all in the next video.